Next is, right next to him is Ben Hubbard, who's a colleague of mine from USAID. And as you all know, USAID has been the premier development finance institution for the US government. And Ben Hubbard heads an office called the Development Credit Authority, which is essentially, I would call a development VC. Or at least it enables the financing in the emerging markets, especially in Africa. And through his leadership, the office that he heads has literally leapfrogged in terms of creativity. And I know, I definitely give the credit to him about, he's got now boots on the ground, he's got financial analysts and providers on the ground. And they're one of the backers of the VC roundtables demo did in a couple of countries. So what I wanted to get from Ben is your insight in terms of what you witnessed today in terms of some of these demos that are happening, and how does the kind of, there are 4 pillars of for Lions, and the capital portion of it we've heavily relied on USAID's DCA component of it. How do you see that, and how do you see your component or your tools would be able to be helpful for these entrepreneurs?
Sure. Well, first I think from the USAID perspective, not many people realize this, but we invest millions of dollars every year in science and technology. And that's supporting research and development for everything from drought-tolerant maize seed varieties to low-cost vaccines and diagnostics to geospatial mapping and analysis. Increasingly we're looking at the mobile space as how can we use mobile solutions to solve some of the traditional development problems that we've for a long time tried to address. Obviously that's a harder play from the financing side. Technology is a new sector, especially in these markets. We spend most of our time trying to just connect traditional small, medium-sized enterprises with financiers. And so the tech challenge is an especially difficult space. One of our interests in Demo Africa, both from a financing perspective and from a USAID perspective, is how can we play a more catalytic role in facilitating finance from investors to those entrepreneurs. It's one reason we sponsored these investor roundtables leading up to today, both to train potential angel and VC investors about how to deploy their capital to these entrepreneurs, but also to learn from them about what are the constraints that they're facing that we can help solve. So over the next several months, we hope to take that learning, disseminate it to all of our missions across the continent, because we do have a footprint everywhere. And we do have investment officers who can understand a balance sheet and work with entrepreneurs so that we can be helpful. The other thing we are trying to do is use our purchasing power to move the market. A couple weeks ago, we launched the Better Than Cash campaign, betterthancash.org. It's an alliance of development organizations and governments to move the billions of dollars in cash disbursements from government benefits to salaries to the humanitarian assistance that we deliver onto the mobile phone as a safer, cheaper, more transparent option. It's something we've piloted in Afghanistan, of all places. The police force saw their salary increase by 30%, but in fact their salary hadn't gone up. They actually just got more of the money because no one was taking a piece out of their salary on the way to them. So we think it's a really transformative tool, and that we're in a unique position to help get adoption across the globe. So we're very excited to really, we're here to learn from the entrepreneurs and the investors.
That's great. That's great. I mean, that's not just a supporter of the initiative, but becomes a consumer of it itself. It's a great thing. Next is Uzi. Nokia, obviously, is one of the prominent private sector partners of Lions Africa. So if you can share with us your insight in terms of how Africa fits into Nokia's strategy and how the alliance itself is going to help you achieve that goal.
Okay, thank you very much. So actually, it was Arben who introduced me to the Lions Africa Coalition in the beginning of April, and then I had quite a long chat with you, Thomas, and I realized that actually all that you are planning to do and you have been already executing, and what your vision was very close to what Nokia intends to do and has been doing over the past years. So I don't know if too many of you know what kind of things we have been doing, but we have been really trying to catalyze the development of the innovation society in many parts of Africa through different type of initiatives. And one of them, for example, is catalyzing the discussion about policies. And it's a bit funny that the private company talks about innovation policies and strategies, but we believe that it's a win-win deal for everyone, where the private sector, policymakers, entrepreneurs, everyone comes together and shapes the future landscape and creates a business environment that is conducive for all of you guys to take your innovations to the market. At the same time, we've been also very active in creating different type of innovation hubs and spaces. We have a very close partnership with InfoDev. We have two joint M-Labs, one in South Africa, one here in Kenya in connection with iHub. We then also have our own mobile application laboratories in Egypt, and are opening one in Lagos, Nigeria as well. And different type of things that we have been doing. I think that all of them are very much focused at catalyzing the growth of the local ecosystem. If I think about now the future, the direction where we are going, it's very much to continue on the same track, but now it's to maximize the impact through this partnership. So because at times we felt a bit lonely, so trying to get this discussion going, it's complicated. And now through this partnership, I think that we can actually put much more weight behind the objectives what we have. And basically, I'm pretty convinced that these objectives are the same for all of us, to create a conducive business environment for the innovators to flourish and to be successful. At the same time, then there's maybe a few initiatives that I use the opportunity to introduce, and one of them is actually a joint partnership that we have with Microsoft. It's a concept called App Campus. App Campus is a fund of $23 million that's managed globally from Finland by University of Aalto. There's an entrepreneurial accelerator program there, but a $23 million program which is accessible for developers. There's different type of grants, 20, 50, and 70,000 euros, depending on the complexity of the application what you're developing. So I think it's a great platform that is accessible for everyone here in this room as well. We are also just launching now on the 4th of November competition called Create for 8. Which is a large Middle East and Africa-wide competition for Windows Phone 8 ecosystem. And then there's actually an ongoing competition which is just going to end in a few weeks' time called Urban App Competition that's going on in South Africa. So quite a lot of action going on all the time, and we really hope that through this partnership we are able to really get more and more companies on board and really to build a win-win partnership. Because I believe that through employment, through entrepreneurship, first of all, through employment, through, let's say, increased tax income, we are building actually sustainable, equitable, and peaceful societies. So I think it's a win-win for all of us.
Lovely. Great. Thank you for that. Next is Altaj, whom we know quite well, and InfoDev, which is the World Bank Group's office. You work a great deal with enablers that actually enable these entrepreneurs to be here. And actually, one of the insights that you told me about, I don't know, 20% or 25%, right, of the folks, the 40 of who came in, were beneficiaries of your enablers. And if you could tell us a little bit about how you do that and how the partnership is going to help you accelerate that.
Well, let me start with how we view the partnership. So, like Jussi was saying, it maximizes the impact we have on the ground. Because we have been on the ground as InfoDev, at times it gets lonely. You need partners. Essentially, you can leverage each other's resources on the ground. And so from that perspective, we are really looking or counting on this partnership to make sure that next demo batch has 100% of folks that we've been able to touch before even coming here. And that's important because entrepreneurship is a journey. I know I used to be one, and it's a very tough one too. I look around the room, and 80% of these folks will unfortunately fail. Now that doesn't mean that the entrepreneur is failing though. So hopefully next time they try, they'll be successful. So I look at the entrepreneur and their journey, and we essentially view that journey, and we figure out how can we help them throughout this journey, from idea inception all the way to hopefully revenue and beyond. And so one way to help them is essentially create infrastructure on the ground, like the M-Lab Kenya that produced 3 of these companies, and our partner in Senegal, CTIC, that produced another 3. And they're essentially working to help these entrepreneurs be better, and we want to be part of that. We want to be able to help the enablers, as we call them. And next time, we're going to be helping those enablers all together. So that's a good thing. But now that the demo companies are here, what's next for them? So most of them are looking for money, and money access to capital is a huge challenge, especially at the seed and early stage. So I see us like creating Alliance Africa Angels. Maybe we accredit them, maybe we help them co-invest with them. So we see these problems that the entrepreneurs see every day, and we try to maximize the partnership resources so that we can be essentially helping them along the way. And of course, that doesn't change the fact that, again, there will be failures, but don't worry about it. You know, that's part of the journey. So we're here to help. And we're really counting on everybody else to step in and plug the holes that these guys face.
Yeah, I mean, what you hear essentially is the importance of collective action. What we all come with, obviously, is everybody has its own interest and value in terms of what this partnership is about, and the platform provides a way for us to collaborate and align our interests to make sure that at the end of the day, the entrepreneurs who are here today get the maximum benefit from doing so. And I want to echo some of the sentiment Oltaj talked about. I mean, obviously, is the question of failure. I mean, one of the things we, at least, if I can speak on our behalf here, is that the entrepreneurs have to have the culture of failure. To fail is not a bad thing. I mean, I remember being traveling to demo before coming here, and I find it fascinating where you meet entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley and other places that they pride themselves telling you how many companies that they failed. It's almost their pride. You don't even have to ask them. That's the first thing they tell you, which essentially shows you the DNA of an entrepreneur. It's not always about getting it right the first time or the second time. It's actually the process that you go through is what's the most important thing. So at the end, obviously, we want to maximize successes rather than. But I think the whole point of being an entrepreneur is taking a risk. And when you take a risk, some fail and some become successful. And the other thing is, obviously, there is a proliferation of the iHubs and these kind of accelerators everywhere. We want to make sure that these accelerators do not see themselves as a competition to each other, but as one big group who are trying to create a broader African-based ecosystem that is connected to the global grid. Because that's the only way, the same way that you see here, there's a collective action here. There needs to be a collective action on the other side for us to come together, because that formula would not work. If we align ourselves and put our resources together, if the other side of the equation does not do that, then we will not be as successful as we want it to be. So that's essentially one of at least my take on one of it. But one of the things that I take back from the demos that I just saw even this morning, and there are going to be more this afternoon and tomorrow, you validated our thesis, is that there are very impressive and insightful entrepreneurs are out there, and how do you make these basically technology-driven entrepreneurs become successful is where essentially what we felt. At least I felt like that at least the initial thesis has been validated. And we hope that through this partnership and demo, and hopefully this is not the first, but many of to come, we'll be able to leverage and scale it. I have one kind of last question to the panel, and any of them can pick it up, is that, and from what you witnessed today, in terms of, you guys have been, traveled around the world, what are the kind of insights or advice that you have for these entrepreneurs that are very African focused, but who might benefit tremendously from insights from overseas? Any one of you, it doesn't matter. Go ahead.
One of my just initial observations is entrepreneurs you need to make sure you're building businesses and not just products. And I heard a lot about excellent products that you're passionate about, but I'm interested in how you're monetizing them and what the business model is. And I think it's easy to lose sight of that as you get passionate about actually building the product. But really at the end of the day, you need both if you want to get the investment. So
That's very good. Anybody else?
No, I think they were very unique in the sense that everyone had, I saw solutions based on SMS, which shows that they are trying to build solutions that are very specific to the market. So I love the creative, but I would just echo that, how do you take it to the next level? I mean, can your platform, like an SMS, it could work great as a demo, but when 100,000 people hit your site, you're going to have problems on how you're going to run it. So is your back-end services and all those coding that you have done really worthy enough to be running on day one? Because if it shuts down because of traffic, people are going to go away. So I would just say, just make sure that, you know, demo is one thing, but make sure your platform is really sound so that you can scale.
That's true. I mean, just to add, and at the end of the day, obviously, is you're trying to build a business. And there's tremendous amount of passion and love that goes in terms of producing your product or what you have. And a lot of love, obviously, but this is probably the last time I'm going to quote Tina Turner. What has love got to do with it, as she said? And you got to have something more than love, something that is rooted on market, realities. So at the end of the day, folks have to buy it or use it for you to be successful. So that's at least the kind of proxy that you should be looking at. And we look forward to many of these type of endeavors. And I hope you will continue to enjoy it. And for the rest of the demos, good luck. I know you don't need it, but that wraps up our panel. Thank you very much.
Thank you.